and then he knelt down and prayed. He turned to the body and said, "Tabitha, get up." Then she opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He gave her his hand and helped her up. Then calling the saints and the widows, he showed her to be alive. This became known throughout Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. Meanwhile, he stayed in Joppa for some time with a certain Simon, a tanner.
And hear these words from the Gospel of John. Listen for the word of the Lord. At that time, the festival of the dedication took place in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple in the portico of Solomon. So the Jews gathered around him and said to him, "How long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly." Jesus answered, "I have told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name testify to me, but you do not believe because you do not belong to my sheep. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. What my Father has given me is greater than all else, and no one can snatch it out of the Father's hand. The Father and I are one." Please join me in prayer. Faithful God, may my words be your words. And may the meditations of all our hearts be guided by you. O God, our help in ages past, present, and future. Amen. Maybe this has happened to you. You have had some kind of experience, and there was something about it that it was so meaningful or impactful in some way that you can't help but think this would be a good story to tell. And so you do. Your first opportunity, the next time that you are gathering with a friend or with family, you want to share with them the story of what has happened, and so you set out. You begin describing what this experience for you was like. And it could be that you are sharing this experience because there was some humor in it. It was just a hilarious moment of some kind, or it was deeply meaningful in some other way. It helped bear a truth for you, or something like that. But you notice that when you are sharing this story with someone else, about halfway through, you can see it in their eyes. It's just not landing. They've got this glazed over look, and they're looking at you like, "Why are you telling me this story? I don't understand. Why is this so special to you?" And by that point, maybe that can be a bit of a discouraging or frustrating moment, because from your perspective, you want to share whatever this is with them, and you want them to feel the same thing that you did. But the words you are using, whether it's the words you have chosen or just in general, words are not doing this experience justice. And so it really ends up being a you had to be there sort of moment. You had to be there sort of experience. Well, one of my seminary friends came up with a solution to moments like this, where you're telling a story and you realize it's just not working. You just, on the end of your story, tack on the phrase, "and then I found $10. Some attempt to redeem your story that otherwise is going to just land with a thud. Well, and then this thing, And then I found $10. See, something that helps redeem this story. And you know, whether or not that actually works, it's at least one solution you could try at some point. But these are the sorts of moments where words are not enough. They are the sorts of moments where telling of this experience isn't going to be enough for the person you're trying to let in on what has happened. And yet, for a variety of reasons, we are an incredibly word-dependent culture. We use words all the time for so many different things. I mentioned I was at a conference the past few days, the Festival of Faith and Writing in Grand Rapids. And one of the panels that I attended, it was this panel of poets. And they were describing what poetry tries to do, and through the words that are carefully chosen. And they observed that one of the things we try to do with words is to point people to the thing through the words that they are meant to convey. That we try to see through the words to the larger story or experience that we are trying to talk about. But it doesn't always work. And yet we are so dependent on words to describe, to convey meaning, to tell one another these deep truths, or to share facts. We depend so much on words to do this. Words are our primary way of illustrating these sorts of things. And part of that is that this is a feature of our post-Enlightenment, very reason-based and intellect-based way of doing things. And that applies even to the church. We even apply this to faith in many respects, where if we can't adequately describe something, if we can't adequately reason something out to the very end, then what use does it really have? We always seem to be looking for the whats and the hows and the whys of things. And we don't necessarily always let the experience just be. We may not always give adequate time for the experience to really seep in. Instead, we want to rush to tell someone else about it, to describe it with words, to figure out what it really means for us. We are rushing often to tell about it before maybe we even really understand what has happened. The people who approached Jesus are looking for Jesus to tell them something. They also greatly value words, and they greatly value reason. And there are many good reasons for that. There are many good reasons to value the seeking of answers like this, and this is no exception with these people who approach Jesus. And we're not altogether clear whether they are being openly hostile to Jesus when approaching, or whether they're merely curious, or they want to hear more. They want to hear greater clarity for themselves. But nevertheless, they approach and they say, "If you are the Messiah, tell us. Just tell us. Tell us plainly. Just say it." Now, by this point in the Gospel of John, Jesus has turned water into wine. Jesus has fed over 5,000 people on a hillside. Jesus has healed a crippled beggar by the pool of Siloam. Jesus has healed a blind man. He has done all of these things, what John in particular calls signs of who Jesus is and of his special relationship and his special connection to God. And yet, for whatever reason, it's still not enough. It's still not enough for these people who make this request or this demand of Jesus. If you are the Messiah, tell us. Just tell us. And Jesus responds by saying, I have. I have told you. Over and over and over again. And not only that, I have shown you. I have shown you through these various works of God that I have performed. You have seen it, and you have heard it. But the difference is, Jesus says, you may be hearing it, but you're not really listening. The sheep listen. The sheep really hear my voice. I am like a shepherd to them, Jesus says. Like a shepherd calls to the sheep, and the sheep really truly recognize and hear the voice of the shepherd, maybe over and against that of just a hired worker. The sheep recognize and listen to and trust the shepherd's voice in particular, and they follow. And it is that deeper listening, beyond words, beyond mere telling, beyond mere sharing of information, that is the key to truly hearing what Jesus has been saying. The spiritual writer Thomas Merton wrote extensively about the prayer practice of meditation. And not only did he write about what it is and how to do it, he also wrote a little bit about what it is not and how not to do it. And one of the things that he writes is that meditation is deeper than just having interesting thoughts about God. It's more than that. It's more than just having interesting ideas about God, about who God is and what God is doing. It's more than that. It is deeper than that. It is beyond that. It also has to do with a deeper experience of God that maybe we can't use words to adequately describe, that we can't commodify neatly into an idea. One of the phrases that Merton uses as he is describing this is he says, one comes to a point where you just realize God. More than describing, more than telling, more than rationalizing, more than reasoning. It is something more than that. It is a deeper sort of listening that can bring this about. Jesus, comparing himself to a shepherd, invites us to listen in a deeper way, beyond mere telling. Who he is, how God is present in him, how God is present with all of us in every moment, moments that are both meaningful and moments that are more mundane. Moments where maybe things would be a little more interesting if we tacked on and then I found $10 at the end. God is even in those sorts of moments. God is present in sharing food. God is present in helping others. God is present in gathering over coffee. God is present in experiencing the laughter of children or of friends. God is present in all of that. And if we're able to listen, to truly listen to God's voice calling underneath it, around it, through it, then we can hear the shepherd calling to us. Amen.